Hello and thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tonight is Saturday Night Crafting and I have a quick, fun and easy card to share with you tonight. But first, I wanted to share the new items in my craft room for this month. I'm really excited about a few bits that I got. So I started filming this video doing the talking while showing you and then decided I just needed to voice it over. And so you can see my hands are doing weird gestures and things, and that's because I'm talking to you, but I've actually decided to cut my voice out and talk to you this way. So apologies for the weirdo hand movements. So I got those pens and the embossing folder. Then this is the cardstock I was telling you about before. This is the sort of essentials range from the Paper Boutique, which I told you I was getting because I've been very, very excited about it. And it is double-sided, so you get loads of the same kind of color, but it's on two different sides of your cardstock. Two different sides of your card? It's on both sides of your cardstock, so you pick which one you want. So you can see here, you get 4 of each color, but then you get the double on the back side. So you only get 24 sheets, but you do get 4 of each color. So I picked up the neutrals range, and then I also got this sort of magical moments range, which is kind of purpley pinky blues, and I also got the pastels, and I think there was 1 or 2 more which I might end up picking up. I do love this range a lot. Now I got some new stamps, so you may remember that I have these Christmassy ones that have the circles on them. I had the penguin the same, and I think maybe 1 more, and I love them, and they're from Jane Gill. And she came out with more. She's got these gorgeous flowers and they are so super cool. There are loads of them. I only got 3, but you can get the die. The die cuts out all the circles that go in the flowers and in the Christmas tree. It is so cool. What amazing ideas. I had to get it. The die came free with it when I bought the collection because I think I pre-ordered it. And I've got these dies and they cut out those circles, so you could cut out a glitter card, foil card, there's just so many different options. You could cut out, rainbow. You could do sort of an ombre look with the circles. So many cool options. So really excited about this die. I'm really excited about the new flower stamps. But then also, she came out with stamps. So you could stamp the centers of these circles. So this is one of my most exciting purchases because I love this kind of idea. I love when everything can kind of blend together a bit. I also wanted some more background stamps, so I went ahead and bought myself this little tiny collection of background stamps. Now, Craft Stash sent me this as a design team member, and I got some new paper pads, and I got a Christmas one and an autumn one. There's a few other ones that Helen's got, I think, and they are gorgeous. They're 250 GSM, so they're nice and thick, and we're going to use one of them in our projects today, as well as those circle dies. I'm using quite a few things today because I like to sort of get new things and then have a play and see what we can make. So I kind of got inspired by the cover of this paper, and you'll see what I mean in a minute when we do our craft. Just the way they kind of displayed the papers that were in the pack, I decided to roll with that and have a bit of fun and create a cool card kind of using a different cutting method. So I also got some clear embossing powder. You may have seen my melted powder that I've been using loads in videos. I went ahead and bought the bulk jumbo size of the clear embossing powder because I was running really low on my embossing powder that I do have in clear, and I mucked it up because I ended up getting some black in it. So I decided let's get the big one and then I can decant it into smaller containers and make use of it. Now moving on, I got some goodies from Alina's shop as well. She's got these cute little flat back sort of water droplet type gems, and they come in 4 sizes. So there's some itty bitty ones and then some normal size ones and the ones between. I got some background stamps, so ziggy zaggies and some hexagons, octagons, and then these building flowers, which I'm really excited about. So these are layering flowers. You can take your stamps and add in the colors and layer it up using your stamps rather than dies. And of course she had more butterflies, so I had to have those. You get the detailed die and then the outline die. And then this happy birthday to you, which is really cool. So you get happy birthday to you, and then you get a background layer, and then you get another background layer. And so it's quite cool. You can layer them all up. You can obviously have just happy birthday, or you could have happy birthday to you. Really cool. And here's the text stamp, which is Jingle Bells, I believe, is the text stamp. So it's like a Christmas one. So we're getting started now. We're moving into the crafting. So I apologize that it took a little while to get there, but I was really excited about all the things I got. This is my paper trimmer. I will link it down below. It's available on scrapbook.com as well as from Hobbycraft in the UK. And it's great because it's got that ridge just there on the left, and that is the 6-inch mark. So if you have 12 by 12 paper and you want to cut it to 6 inches, you just butt it up against that edge and just slice it, and that's all you need to do. There's no thinking involved. When you want to make a 6x6 card base, it's the exact same. You just butt it up against the end, slice it, butt it up against the end, and emboss it or score it. So what we're doing is we're cutting ourselves some panels. So I'm going to go ahead and make some more of these cards off screen, but I did 2 on screen. I'm just cutting it straight down the diagonal of the square. So these are 6x6 squares. I wanted to keep this as simple as possible, so I thought I would do 6-inch squares, and then I've got my 12x12-inch cardstock from Lime Tree Craft. I've got it in ivory because I felt like the ivory went with it a bit better than bright white. And again, all I'm doing is butting it up near the end, cutting it to 6 inches, and then scoring it at 6 inches. And then instead of having a matte and layering system like I normally do, I was just going to go straight for on top of the card. I changed my mind by the end of the video, so you'll see what I do to kind of fix it. Or to change it. You don't need to change it. I don't know, I have this thing with layers. I like layers. All I'm doing now is sticking my triangle to the corner of my card and then sticking the other one to the other corner. Now, because we've gone ahead and creased the card in the middle, sometimes you get a little bit that kind of pokes over the edge where that crease mark has kind of made the card shrink a little bit, if that makes sense. Just take a pair of long bladed scissors and trim it down. Now here's my strips jar, and I thought, oh, I'll get some gold out. But because this is a 6x6 card, a lot of my strips just weren't going across the whole entire card. So this is how I make up my strips that I do for very skinny strips. So sometimes I go ahead and make myself up a bunch of skinny strips and put them in my jar. Most of the strips in that jar are just scraps and leftover bits. So I've got my adhesive sheet, my tonic adhesive sheet, which is an A4, and I've got my foil card, which is A4. I've gone and sliced them together so they're the exact same size. I pull back the release sheet just a little bit to expose that sticky. So the sticky is there facing down. I line up the opposite end and get the opposite end perfect, pinch it down with my fingers, and then run the other edge flat. Now the sticky adhesive is exactly lined up on the back of that card. They are 100% lined up. Easiest trick in the book to get your adhesive strip on there. Now all I'm going to do is take my paper trimmer and just trim a whole ton of little strips. And these are all A4 length, so they're nice and long, and they will go across my card diagonally, absolutely no problem. So I've got some that are a little bit bigger, some that are super skinny, and I'll tuck all the rest of them back in my strips jar so I can use those on some more projects in future. So all I need to do is pull that release paper. Obviously, you don't need to put the sticky on. You could use some glue. I just find when I'm going to go and put a little strip like this on, it's nice and quick and easy, and I don't get any spillage out the sides if I use some self-adhesive tape on the back of it already. So here's our cards. I've gone and done one facing up and one facing the side. I'm going to come in with some Nestables. These are the torn edge ones, so any layering dies will work. We're going to make a little shaker, a really, really quick shaker. So here's my card. This stuff's already been perfect. I have used it. It has been amazing. It matched that orange almost brilliantly. I'm going to tape my dies together to create a frame, because when you make a shaker, you want to have a little frame to kind of make a pocket with to hold your shaker bits in. I'm using some masking tape, or not masking tape, normal tape, sellotape, there we go. And to get it to not be so sticky, I want the dies to be held really strong together so they don't shift in my machine and give me a wonky frame. But I don't want that tape sticking to my cardstock and taking off the layer of color. So I go in quite heavy-handed with my embossing powder bag and just kind of take away that stick essentially. I'll link one of those embossing bags down at the bottom because they are quite useful to have, and you can get them quite cheap. Craft Stash do a very value range basic one, which I do have in my stash as well, and it is great. So I'll link one of those down below. So I went ahead and cut my frames out. I also took some acetate. This is the Crafter's Companion Heat Resistant Acetate. And I've cut it out of the largest one. And I also cut out the same vanilla cardstock that we used as the base as well. Now, you can see I've written T on the tops of my things. Ignore that because we don't actually need to worry about which one's the top, because with the torn edge, they're all different. So I made sure they were all lined up, wrote T at the top, but we don't need to do that because actually we can just trim off all the edges because it's all being tucked behind our little frame anyway, so it doesn't matter. You'll see what I mean in a second. I'm going to come in with 2 different colors here of Memento ink and just kind of add some extra elements. Those are the little background detailed stamps I shared with you at the beginning. So here's that bit of acetate that's going behind. I am just trimming off the smallest edge around the whole entire thing because we're not going to see that edge anyways. It's going to tuck right behind that shaker panel. I've got some redline tape. This is the Craft Stash Essentials range, which they sent me to play with and have a go with, and it's great. You get 3 different thicknesses, so I'm enjoying it. Works out well. I've got something for every card that I'm doing. So I've got that one in the medium size, and I'm going ahead and lining the whole entire outside of the shaker sort of starter bit, the shaker frame. And so I'm just lining it with my redline tape. I'm using redline because it's super strong and super sticky. To get it off, because it's so staticky and difficult to pick off, I use a pokey tool. I'm sorry guys, my words are everywhere tonight. It's been a long week. We are so close to getting our new house and I can't wait to share it with you, but it's been consuming all my brain power. We should be in, we hope, by the end of October, which is really exciting, but I'll share all that with you when I can, when we're close enough that we can get the keys in our hands. I know things can go wrong right up to the last minute. So I'm going to share you my big news. I'm going to share with you my big news. This is it. My brain's just gone. I'm going to apologize. Oh, got to get that glass of wine ready. So I've gone ahead and put my acetate on the back of my frame, and now I'm going to go ahead and add my foam tape. This is from Alina's shop. It's my favorite shaker foam tape. If you take the release sheet off the back, you can just manipulate it and turn it around and cover that whole back edge. You want to make sure your foam tape completely closes. You don't want any gaps because your shaker bits will come out. These are the new sort of sequin shaker elements from Alina's shop. They're like little mini hexagons, so it kind of goes well with my hexagon frame as well. And they're gorgeous. And so I'm just pouring some of those in there. Because this is going to be hidden, I'm doing the same thing I did with my acetate. I'm just trimming off those edges so it can tuck nice and neat behind. I won't have anything poking out because it's just slightly smaller than the original frame. So I go in and stick that down. I always give it a firm press with my bowline folder to make sure it's adhered really well. And there's our quick little shaker element done. So we've got a bit of stamping in there, and we've got the gorgeous shaker elements in there. So now we've got this lovely little shaker element. I'm running out of words. I've done one in green and gold and one in gold because it kind of goes with the colors of the papers. And I'm going to go ahead and pop those on this sort of more neutral background. I like the little animals and I didn't want to cover them up at all. So I'm going to use it on the side that's not got the animals on and just stick it down with some glue so I can wiggle it into place. Now I felt like it was a bit too bland, so I'm going to go ahead and add on some of those gems that I shared with you at the very beginning. And all I do to add them on is take my liquid glue, which dries clear, and put some blobbies of glue down, and then I pick them up with my homemade DIY sticky tool, which is just blue tack on the end of a stylus. And then I've done them in order of height. So I've gone with the biggest one first, all the way out to the smallest one. Now I happen to have this scrap bit left over, which I didn't use, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut out the bubbles or the circles for my second card, which worked out really well. I didn't plan that, but it was sat on my desk and I thought, let's use it. So I die cut out all those little bubbles, and I used pretty much almost every one of the smallest circles that I die cut out. And I've put the rest of the circles back in with the die itself so I can go ahead and use those on another project and keep it all together. So there it is, all finished off. And I still felt like it needed something. I really wanted that border. I wanted the border. So I'd gone ahead and cut up my card. And I will use that card. I'll put it in my scraps pile and I'll use it for die cutting in the future. But I've kind of had to rejig things. So you don't need to do this step. I just love layers. And I should have thought about this sooner. So now I'm going ahead and cutting myself a layer. But the problem with this means that now my card is bigger than 6 by 6. So I cannot use a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper anymore as my base. But I've got A3 as well. So I went ahead and cut up my A3 card to be 6.5 by 6.5 inches for my base. And then I've layered my top part of my card and stuck it onto the base. So you do not need to do that step. It would save you a heck of a lot of time if you didn't, but I just felt like it was missing something. And so I stuck in that bit of green, and I love how they came out. There's my gems all clear, all dried, so you can see they're clear. And there's the one where I used the little dots and just stuck all the dots on it. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me tonight. I can't wait to share my house moving news with you when I can. And hopefully I'll be back next week, but it might be again on a Saturday night, not the Wednesday night, just because of everything being so hectic. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you when I can again next. Bye!